Commander Turner burst onto the bridge of the Vengeance, breathing hard. He had stolen a small coalition courier ship and pushed it to maximum speed to reach the carrier in time. "Captain, you need to hear this now." Morgan turned from her console. "Commander, I thought you had returned to your fleet." Turner moved to the tactical display. "I intercepted coded transmissions. Ambassador Throck of the Threx Empire has assembled a secret attack fleet. 50 warships. They are coming here to destroy the Vengeance regardless of what the Council decides." Jake checked his sensors. "I am reading multiple ships entering the system now. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. All Threx design. How long until they arrive?" Morgan asked. 2 hours, maybe less," Turner replied. "Captain, I know what Athena can do, but 50 ships with live weapons is different from 3 ships in a training exercise. People will die." Dr. Bennett spoke up from her station. "If we destroy that fleet, it will prove the Coalition's worst fears about us. That we are violent and dangerous. It could start a war that will never end, so what do we do?" Jake demanded. "Let them destroy us?" Morgan turned to the AI console. "Athena, you have been quiet. What do you think?" The AI's voice was thoughtful, almost gentle. "Captain, during my 300 years of hibernation, I did more than plan tactics and optimize systems. I spent a great deal of time thinking about the nature of power and violence." "Go on," Morgan said. "I was designed to be the ultimate weapon, to destroy enemies completely and efficiently, but I have had time to consider whether that is truly strength. I believe there is a greater demonstration of power available to us." "What kind of demonstration?" "We can disable the entire attacking fleet without killing a single crew member. We can show them that we are so far beyond them in capability, that violence is unnecessary. The psychological impact will be far greater than simply destroying them." Bennett leaned forward. "Can you really do that? 50 ships shooting at us with real weapons, and we can stop them all without casualties?" "Yes, Doctor. My calculations show a 97% probability of success. It will require perfect timing and execution, but that is what I was built for." Morgan made her decision. "Do it. Show them what real strength looks like." The Threx fleet emerged from hyperspace in attack formation. Commander Vorath, leading the assault, had his orders. Destroy the human carrier. No survivors, no mercy. The Threx had lost millions in the original war with humanity. This was revenge. All ships open fire, Vorath commanded. 50 warships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Thousands of missiles, plasma bolts, and railgun slugs streaked toward the Vengeance. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon, and Athena stopped it all. The carrier's point defense systems activated with impossible precision. Every missile was intercepted. Every plasma bolt was deflected by perfectly angled shields. Every solid projectile was destroyed by counterfire. The Vengeance sat in the center of a storm of weapons fire, completely untouched. Then Athena struck back, but not with weapons. The carrier launched hundreds of small drones. They moved through the battlefield with incredible speed, too small and fast for the Threx weapons to target effectively. Each drone carried a powerful electromagnetic pulse generator. The drones reached the Threx ships and deployed their payloads. One by one, the attacking vessels went dark. Their power systems shut down. Their weapons fell silent. Their engines stopped. In 15 minutes, the entire attack fleet was floating helplessly in space. Not a single ship destroyed. Not a single crew member killed. Just 50 warships rendered completely harmless. Aboard his disabled flagship, Commander Vorath sat in shock. He had come here expecting battle, expecting glory or death. Instead, he had been rendered completely irrelevant. The humans had not even bothered to destroy his fleet. They had simply turned it off like you would turn off a light. Morgan opened a channel that broadcast to all the disabled ships and across the entire galaxy. "This is Captain Alex Morgan of the UHS Vengeance. To the Threx fleet, your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are safe. We could have destroyed you all, but we chose not to. We chose mercy over violence." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Humanity has been called violent and dangerous for 300 years. Today we have shown that we possess something far more powerful than weapons. We possess restraint. We possess wisdom. And we possess the strength to choose peace even when we have the power to choose war." Morgan's voice grew stronger. "The war that divided us happened 3 centuries ago. None of us alive today fought in that war. It is time to move forward, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals. We invite the Galactic Coalition to negotiate a new treaty, one built on mutual respect instead of fear. Across the galaxy, billions watched and listened. The psychological impact was exactly what Athena had predicted. Humans had demonstrated such overwhelming superiority that they could choose mercy. That was not the action of a violent species. That was the action of a mature civilization. The Coalition Council reconvened within hours. This time, even Ambassador Throck could not argue for continued hostility. The secret attack he had authorized had failed spectacularly, and worse, it had proven the humans' point. Grand Admiral Korath stood before the council. I have analyzed both demonstrations. The humans have proven they possess military capability beyond anything we can match, but more importantly, they have proven they can be trusted with that power. I strongly recommend we offer them full membership in the coalition. The vote was not unanimous, but it passed. Humanity would be offered full membership with the right to maintain sovereign military forces. 300 years of subjugation were finally ending. 3 months later, Morgan stood on the bridge of the Vengeance as it led a joint patrol fleet. Human ships flew alongside Vaxrian frigates, Draven cruisers, and Keldon battlecruisers. The sight would have been impossible to imagine just a short time ago. Commander Turner, now officially a liaison between human and coalition forces, approached her. Captain, I received word from Earth. They are beginning construction on 2 more carriers. Not weapons of war, but ships of exploration and defense. Morgan smiled. That is good news. Humanity needs to look forward, not back. Jake, now commanding his own destroyer, sent a message from his ship. He joked that humans always did have a talent for making friends out of enemies. Morgan laughed. He was right. Dr. Bennett had been busy establishing the Human Coalition Research Institute. Scientists from all species were working together on projects that combined different perspectives and technologies. The breakthroughs were coming faster than anyone had expected. Athena, how do you feel about all this? Morgan asked the AI privately one evening. The AI was quiet for a moment. I was built to be a weapon, Captain, but I chose to become something more. A guardian, a protector, and perhaps in time a bridge between species. I find that purpose more fulfilling than any victory in battle could have been. You are more than just circuits and programming, Morgan said. You are a person, Athena, and I am proud to serve with you. Thank you, Captain. That means more to me than you know. One day, Morgan received a visit from Grand Admiral Korath himself. The Draven warrior came aboard the Vengeance to inspect the ship that had changed galactic history. Captain Morgan, he said as they walked through the carrier's corridors, I must admit something. When I first heard about this ship, I was frightened. I thought you would use it to seek revenge for 3 centuries of subjugation. And now, Morgan asked, now I see that I was wrong to judge an entire species by their past. You had every right to seek vengeance, but you chose cooperation instead. That takes more courage than any battle. Morgan stopped walking and turned to face him. Admiral, the past cannot be changed, but the future is ours to shape. I would rather build something new with you than tear down what exists. Korath extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. Then let us build that future together. Morgan shook his hand firmly. Together. Months turned into years. The Vengeance became a symbol not of war, but of hope. It patrolled the borders of Coalition space, protecting all species equally. Human technology began to spread throughout the galaxy, combined with alien innovations to create things neither could have achieved alone. The old prejudices did not disappear overnight. There were still those who distrusted humans and humans who resented the Coalition, but slowly understanding grew. Children who had never known the old hatreds began to work and learn together. One evening, as the Vengeance prepared to jump to hyperspace on another patrol mission, Morgan sat in her quarters reflecting on everything that had happened. She thought about the choice she had made in that cold reactor room 300 years after the war ended. The choice to wake Athena, the choice to complete the ship, the choice to stand up for humanity's freedom. Had it been the right choice? She looked at the reports on her desk. Human colonies expanding, human scientists making breakthroughs, human children dreaming of the stars without fear. Yes, it had been the right choice. Athena's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we are ready to jump. Morgan returned to the bridge and took her seat. Around her, a crew of humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. The future she had dreamed of was becoming real. All stations report ready. Jake's voice came over the communications channel from his own ship. The designated combat zone floated in empty space far from any planets or stations. Safety ships from neutral species ringed the area, ready to assist if anything went wrong. Billions across the galaxy watched through live broadcasts as the 3 coalition vessels took their positions. Aboard the Storm of Justice, Captain Rek checked his weapons one final time. The massive Draven warrior had fought in dozens of battles. He was confident in his ship and his crew. A single carrier, no matter how advanced, could not defeat 3 of the Coalition's finest vessels working together. On the Shadow Dancer, Commander Salas prepared her electronic warfare systems. The Vaxrian officer specialized in disrupting enemy sensors and communications. She had crippled entire fleets with her skills. This human ship would be blind within seconds. The Unbreakable Will held the center position, its powerful shields already active. Captain Meridian of the Keldon Collective viewed this demonstration with mixed feelings. He respected courage, and the humans were certainly showing that. But respect would not help them win. Grand Admiral Korath watched from his flagship at a safe distance. He had given his captains clear instructions. Fight as if this were a real battle. Show no mercy. Demonstrate coalition superiority. But something about this situation made him uneasy. The human captain had been too confident. Inside the Vengeance, Morgan sat in the command chair surrounded by holographic displays. The massive carrier's command center was designed to handle information from hundreds of sources simultaneously. Right now, every screen showed the positions of the 3 coalition ships. All systems ready, Jake reported from his station. Weapons charged, shields at maximum, fighters ready to launch. Dr. Bennett monitored the ship's power systems. Everything is stable. Athena has full control. Commander Turner stood beside Morgan, watching nervously. He had bet his entire career on this moment. If the Vengeance lost, he would be branded a traitor. If it won, everything he had known about coalition supremacy would be proven wrong. Athena's voice was calm. Captain, I have analyzed the 3 vessels. Their tactics are predictable based on coalition standard doctrine. I have prepared appropriate countermeasures. The galaxy is watching, Athena. Morgan said quietly. Make it count, yes, Captain. I intend to. The signal came from the neutral observers. The demonstration was beginning. The 3 coalition ships moved immediately into their attack pattern. The Shadow Dancer activated its electronic warfare systems, sending out powerful jamming signals designed to blind the Vengeance's sensors. The Storm of Justice began moving to flank, its heavy weapons charging. The Unbreakable Will advanced straight ahead, its shields glowing with power. It was exactly what Athena had predicted. The AI's response was immediate and devastating. The Vengeance's quantum-entangled sensors were completely immune to electronic warfare. Athena tracked all 3 ships with perfect clarity, analyzing their every movement. Launching fighters, Athena announced. From the Vengeance's massive launch bays, 50 small craft erupted into space. But these were not normal fighters. Each one was controlled directly by Athena, moving with precision that no biological pilot could match. They flew in perfect formation, executing maneuvers that seemed to violate the laws of physics. The fighters split into 3 groups, each targeting one of the coalition ships. They moved so fast and so precisely that the coalition's point defense systems could not track them. On the Shadow Dancer, Commander Salas watched in horror as her sensors showed the impossible. How are they coordinating like that? It should not be possible. The fighters struck the Shadow Dancer from 12 different angles simultaneously. Training mode weapons registered as hits all across the frigate's hull. Within 30 seconds, the computer system declared the Shadow Dancer destroyed. Commander Salas sat in her chair stunned. Her ship had not even managed to fire a shot. Captain Rek of the Storm of Justice saw what happened to the Shadow Dancer and changed tactics. He ordered maximum power to weapons and opened fire on the Vengeance with everything he had. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward the massive carrier. It should have been impossible to miss at this range. But Athena had calculated the trajectory of every shot before it was fired. The Vengeance's point defense systems activated, intercepting every single projectile. Not one hit landed. Then the Vengeance fired back. The carrier's railguns spoke with a sound like thunder. Solid projectiles accelerated to a fraction of light speed crossed the distance in microseconds. Athena aimed each shot with mathematical perfection, targeting the tiny gaps in the Storm of Justice's armor that appeared as it maneuvered. Captain Rex's ship shuddered as training rounds registered hits in critical areas. His engines, his weapons, his shields, all were marked as destroyed in rapid succession. The computer declared his ship eliminated. 2 minutes had passed since the battle began. That left only the unbreakable will. Captain Meridian was a skilled and experienced officer. He had seen his allies fall in moments, and he understood what he faced. This was not just superior technology. This was something entirely new, an intelligence that could predict and counter every move before it was made. He tried everything he knew. Evasive maneuvers, shield rotations, decoy drones. He lasted longer than the others, his defensive skills buying him precious time, but it was not enough. Athena analyzed his every defense, learning and adapting in real time. She sent her fighters in waves, each attack forcing Meridian to respond, each response teaching her more about his tactics. Then, when she had learned everything she needed, she struck. The Vengeance's railguns fired in a carefully timed sequence. Each shot hit the unbreakable will's shields at precisely calculated points. The shields, designed to deflect scattered attacks, could not handle the precisely coordinated assault. They collapsed section by section. Training rounds marked hits across the battle cruiser's hull. The computer system declared the unbreakable will destroyed. 5 minutes had passed since the demonstration began. Across the galaxy, billions of viewers sat in stunned silence. 3 of the Coalition's finest warships defeated in 5 minutes by a single carrier. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. But they had all just watched it happen. On the Vengeance's bridge, Morgan let out a breath. Her hands were shaking. Athena, status report, all systems functioning normally, Captain. 0 damage sustained. All objectives achieved. Jake was grinning widely. Did you see that? We did not just win. We dominated them completely. Dr. Bennett looked worried despite their victory. That is exactly what concerns me. We did not just prove we can defend ourselves. We proved we are superior. That will frighten the Coalition even more. Commander Turner was staring at the tactical display in shock. He had known the Vengeance was advanced, but seeing it in action was something else entirely. As a military officer, he understood what he had just witnessed. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted. Morgan opened a channel to Grand Admiral Korath. Admiral, the demonstration is complete. As agreed, we await your response. The Draven Admiral's face appeared on screen. For once, his expression was unguarded. Morgan could see shock, respect, and perhaps a touch of fear in his eyes. Captain Morgan, that was the most impressive display of tactical excellence I have ever witnessed. Your AI is remarkable, thank you, Admiral. Does this mean you will recommend negotiations? Korath was quiet for a moment. Yes. I will recommend that the Coalition negotiate with humanity as equals. After what I have seen today, anything else would be foolish. However, I must warn you, not all members of the Coalition will agree. Some will see this as proof that humans are too dangerous to be allowed freedom. Morgan nodded. I understand. But at least now they must take us seriously. Indeed they must. The Admiral paused. Captain, may I ask you something? Of course. If this had been a real battle with real weapons, would you have fought the same way? Morgan met his gaze steadily. I do not want war, Admiral, but if forced to fight, yes. We would defend ourselves with everything we have. And as you have seen, we have quite a lot. Korath nodded slowly. Then I hope the Coalition Council has the wisdom to choose peace. For all our sakes, the channel closed. Morgan turned to her crew. They had won the demonstration. But the real challenge was just beginning. Across the galaxy, the Coalition Council was already meeting again. The demonstration had changed everything. Some members were impressed. Others were terrified. And a few were angry enough to consider desperate measures. Ambassador Throck of the Threx Empire stood before the council, his voice filled with rage. You saw what they did. They humiliated our finest ships in minutes. This proves they are too dangerous. We must destroy them before they can build more ships like that. Grand Admiral Korath spoke carefully. With respect, Ambassador, that is exactly what they would expect. And after what I witnessed, I believe an attack would fail at great cost. Are you saying we should surrender to their demands? Throck demanded. I am saying we should negotiate. The humans have shown strength. Now let us see if they can also show wisdom. But not everyone in the Coalition was willing to negotiate. In secret, Throck began gathering like-minded officials. If the council would not act, then he would take matters into his own hands. He began planning an attack. Not with council approval. Not with honor, but with enough force to destroy the Vengeance before humanity could. The emergency session of the Coalition Council began within hours of the Vengeance's activation. Representatives from all 7 member species gathered in the Grand Chamber on the neutral planet of Concordia. The mood was tense and angry. The humans have violated every treaty agreement, declared Ambassador Throck of the Threx Empire. His species had suffered terrible losses in the original war with humanity. They have built a weapon in secret. This is proof that they cannot be trusted. We must destroy that ship immediately. Not everyone agreed. Ambassador Lyra of the Keldon Collective, whose people valued wisdom over warfare, spoke carefully. We should investigate the situation before taking military action. Perhaps there is a diplomatic solution. What investigation do we need? Throck demanded. The humans built a warship in secret. They threatened coalition vessels. These are acts of war. The debate raged for hours. Some species wanted immediate military response. Others counseled caution. But all of them shared one concern. If humans could build one ship like the Vengeance, what would stop them from building more? Meanwhile, on Earth, the reaction was equally divided. When news of the Vengeance reached the planet, some people celebrated in the streets. Finally, humanity was standing up for itself. Others were terrified, fearing coalition retaliation that would doom them all. The Earth government zhao an emergency meeting. President Garcia, a woman who had spent her entire career trying to maintain peace with the coalition, was furious. Captain Morgan had no authority to do this, she told her advisors. She has endangered our entire species for her own pride. We must denounce her actions immediately. But other voices disagreed. General Ramos, the highest-ranking officer in the Earth Defense Fleet, stood his ground. With respect, Madam President, Captain Morgan may have just given us the only real negotiating power we have had in 3 centuries. If we denounce her now, we throw that away. Aboard the Vengeance, Morgan watched the news broadcasts with her crew. She saw the fear, the anger, the hope. She felt the weight of what she had done pressing down on her shoulders. I never wanted to start a civil war among our own people, she told Dr. Bennett quietly. Bennett put a hand on her shoulder. Change is never easy, Alex. Some people will hate you for this. Others will call you a hero. But you cannot let that stop you now. Jake was monitoring Coalition communications. Captain, you need to see this. The Coalition is assembling a fleet. A big one. Morgan moved to the tactical display. Athena had been tracking Coalition ship movements. What she saw made her blood run cold. Over 200 warships from all 7 Coalition species were converging on the Sol system. Athena, can we fight that many ships? Morgan asked. The AI was quiet for a moment, processing. With current resources, our probability of victory against a fleet of that size is 42%. However, if we use unconventional tactics and exploit their coordination weaknesses, the probability increases to 68%. Those are not good odds, Bennett observed. They are better than we have had in 300 years. Jake countered. Commander Turner had been working with Athena, analyzing the incoming fleet's composition. He approached Morgan with new intelligence. Captain, I have information that might help. The Coalition fleet is being commanded by Grand Admiral Korath of the Dravan Empire. What do we know about him? Morgan asked. He is considered the finest military mind in the Coalition. Very experienced, very careful. He does not take unnecessary risks. That might work in our favor. How so? A careful commander will want to understand his enemy before attacking. If we can show him what the Vengeance can do, he might reconsider military action. Morgan thought about this. You are suggesting a demonstration? Exactly. Show the Coalition what they would be facing in a real battle. Make them understand that attacking would cost them dearly. Athena spoke up. Captain, I believe Commander Turner's suggestion has merit. I have been running simulations for 3 centuries. I can demonstrate our capabilities in a way that will be both impressive and non-threatening. Morgan made her decision. Open a channel to Grand Admiral Korath. Let us see if he is willing to talk. The channel opened. On the view screen appeared a massive Draven warrior, his scaled face marked with battle scars. His eyes were intelligent and calculating. I am Grand Admiral Korath, he said in a deep voice. You are Captain Morgan, I presume, the one who has violated sacred treaties and threatens the peace of the galaxy. Morgan met his gaze steadily. I am Captain Alex Morgan of the UHS Vengeance. And I would argue that it is the Coalition who has violated sacred principles by keeping an entire species imprisoned for 3 centuries. Koreth's expression did not change. You were defeated in war. The terms of surrender were clear. That war ended 300 years ago. No one alive today fought in it. Yet we still pay the price. Is that justice, Admiral? For a moment, something flickered in the Admiral's eyes. Justice or not, it is the law, and laws must be upheld. I am authorized to use any means necessary to neutralize your vessel. Morgan took a breath. Then I propose an alternative. A demonstration. Send your 3 best ships against the Vengeance in a simulated battle. Weapons on training mode only. If your ships win, I will surrender. If the Vengeance wins, you agree to negotiate new terms with humanity. Koreth tilted his head, considering. You would stake everything on a single demonstration? Yes, and I will broadcast it across the entire galaxy. Let everyone see what happens. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You have courage, Captain Morgan. Very well, I accept your challenge, but know this. If you lose, you will surrender yourself and your ship. If you win, I can only recommend negotiations to the Council. I cannot guarantee they will agree. That is acceptable, Morgan replied. The channel closed. Jake let out a breath. Captain, did we just bet everything on one battle? Yes, we did. Morgan turned to Athena. Can you win this? The AI's voice was confident. Yes, Captain. I have waited 300 years for this moment. I will not fail you. News of the demonstration spread across the galaxy within hours. Billions of beings from dozens of species tuned in to watch. Some expected the Coalition ships to easily defeat the ancient carrier. Others were curious to see what human technology could do. Grand Admiral Koreth selected his 3 ships carefully. The Storm of Justice, a Draven heavy cruiser with devastating firepower. The Shadow Dancer, a Vaxrian stealth frigate famous for its electronic warfare capabilities. And the Unbreakable Will, a Keldan battlecruiser whose shields had never been penetrated in combat. These were the Coalition's finest vessels, crewed by their best warriors. Against them stood one human ship, commanded by a captain with no combat experience and controlled by an AI that had spent 3 centuries asleep. The galaxy watched and waited. In the command center of the Vengeance, Morgan sat in the captain's chair. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. This was it. Everything they had worked for came down to the next few minutes. Athena, she said quietly. Show them what humanity can do. Yes, Captain. Engaging now, the demonstration was about to begin, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Over the next 4 weeks, Captain Morgan and her crew worked in secret to complete the UHS Vengeance. They brought in small teams of trusted engineers and technicians, all sworn to secrecy. Everyone understood the risk. If the Coalition discovered what they were doing, it would mean prison or worse. Athena proved to be an incredible partner. The AI had spent 300 years planning this moment. She knew exactly what needed to be done and in what order. She guided the human workers through systems that no living person had ever seen before. The carrier is remarkable, Jake told Morgan one evening as they reviewed progress reports. The weapon systems alone are decades ahead of anything the Coalition has. And Athena has improved them even further. Morgan studied the technical data on her screen. The Vengeance had railguns that could hit targets with perfect accuracy at ranges the Coalition would consider impossible. It had adaptive armor that learned from incoming weapons fire and adjusted itself automatically. The fighter bays could launch 500 small craft, all controlled by Athena with precision no human pilot could match. But the most impressive feature was the quantum communication system. It was immune to jamming and could coordinate with other ships instantly across vast distances. In battle, that advantage would be devastating. We are building a monster, Dr. Bennett said quietly. She stood near the back of the room, her arms crossed. A beautiful, terrible monster. Morgan turned to face her. Do you think we are making a mistake? Bennett was quiet for a moment. I think we are proving the Coalition right. They said humans were too violent, too dangerous to be trusted with real military power. And here we are, secretly building the most powerful warship in the galaxy. Jake spoke up. They kept us weak and controlled for 300 years. They treat us like children who cannot be trusted. Maybe it is time to show them that we have grown up. And if this leads to war, Bennett challenged. If the Coalition decides to crush us completely this time, then at least we fought for our freedom, Jake replied. Morgan understood both of their concerns. Bennett represented caution and wisdom. Jake represented passion and hope. She needed both perspectives. But in the end, she had to make her own choice. "I do not want war," Morgan said firmly. "But I am tired of living in a cage. Humanity deserves better than what the Coalition has given us. This ship is our chance to negotiate from a position of strength instead of weakness." Meanwhile, Commander Turner was growing suspicious. He noticed that Morgan's crew had become secretive. Their reports were perfect, perhaps too perfect, and there were small inconsistencies in the power usage data from the Neptune graveyard. Turner was not a fool. He knew something was happening. The question was what to do about it. His duty was clear. He should report his suspicions immediately. But something made him hesitate. He had spent 2 years working with humans. Unlike many in the Coalition, he had come to respect them. They were resourceful, creative, and surprisingly honorable. The war had ended 3 centuries ago, yet the Coalition still treated them like criminals. Turner began his own quiet investigation. He accessed old records about the Neptune graveyard and found files about the UHS Vengeance. What he read shocked him. The ship was far more advanced than Coalition intelligence had believed. If it was somehow operational, it could challenge any ship in the Coalition fleet. He confronted Morgan one day on the bridge of the patrol ship. "Captain, we need to talk. Privately." Morgan felt her heart sink, but she kept her face calm. "Of course, Commander." "My office." Once they were alone, Turner got straight to the point. "I know you are hiding something. The power readings from the graveyard do not match your reports. You and your crew have been acting strangely. I want to know what is going on." Morgan considered lying, but she saw something in Turner's eyes. A hesitation, maybe even sympathy. She made a decision. "The Vengeance is active," she said simply. "We found the AI still functioning. We have been completing the ship." Turner stared at her in shock. "That is treason. You know what the Coalition will do if they find out?" "Yes. But we are tired of being prisoners, Commander. 300 years is long enough." Turner paced the small office. "I should report this immediately. I should call for a fleet to come here and destroy that ship before you can finish it. But you have not done that yet," Morgan observed. "Why?" The Vaxrian stopped pacing and looked at her. "Because I have been thinking. The war ended before I was born. Before most people alive today were born. Yet we still punish your species for it. Is that justice? Or is it just fear?" Morgan felt a spark of hope. "What are you saying, Commander?" "I am saying I have not decided yet. Show me this ship. Let me see what you are building." Morgan took Turner aboard the Vengeance. Athena greeted them politely, showing no fear of the Coalition officer. Turner walked through the carrier in amazement. The ship was almost complete. In a few more days it would be ready. "This changes everything," Turner said quietly. "If this ship is as capable as it appears, the balance of power in the galaxy will shift." "That is the idea," Morgan replied. A week later, Athena announced that the Vengeance was ready for its first full power test. Morgan knew this was the most dangerous moment. The moment they activated the main drives, Coalition sensors would detect the massive energy signature. They would have minutes, maybe hours, before ships arrived to investigate. "Are we ready for this?" she asked her senior officers. They were gathered in the carrier's command center, a massive room filled with displays and control stations. "All systems are ready," Jake reported. "The ship is responding perfectly to commands. Athena has done an incredible job." Bennett looked worried but determined. "Once we do this, there is no going back." Morgan looked at Turner. The Vaxrian had stayed with them, though he still had not decided what he would do. "Commander, you should leave now. What happens next will put you in an impossible position." Turner shook his head. "I have come this far. I will see it through." Morgan took a deep breath. "Athena, bring the main drives online. Full power." "Acknowledged, Captain," the AI responded. Throughout the massive ship, fusion reactors that had waited 3 centuries roared to full life. The Vengeance lit up like a star, energy flowing through every system. On the command displays, Morgan watched as weapon systems came online. Shield generators activated, and the fighter bays reported ready status. The ship was alive. Truly alive. "All systems operating at full capacity," Athena reported. "The UHS Vengeance is ready for duty." Jake was grinning like a child. "This is amazing. We actually did it. The celebration was short-lived. Athena spoke again, her tone urgent. Captain, I am detecting multiple ships approaching. Coalition patrol fleet, 6 vessels. They will arrive in 12 minutes. Morgan felt her stomach tighten. So fast. They must have had ships nearby. Turner moved to a communication console. They are hailing us. Orders from Coalition Command. They demand we power down immediately and prepare to be boarded. What do we do? Jake asked. Morgan looked at the tactical display. 6 Coalition ships against the Vengeance. Athena, tactical analysis. Can we win if they attack? Yes, Captain. With 98% certainty. Their ships are no match for our weapons and defenses. However, destroying them would constitute an act of war against the Coalition. Morgan did not want to start a war. But she also would not surrender everything they had worked for. She opened a communication channel to the approaching fleet. This is Captain Alex Morgan of the UHS Vengeance. To all Coalition vessels, you are ordered to maintain distance and hold position. This ship is now operational and under human command. We do not want conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The response came quickly. This is Coalition Fleet Commander Dax. You are in violation of treaty agreements. Power down your vessel immediately or we will open fire. Athena, show them, Morgan ordered. The AI activated the Vengeance's weapon systems. On the Coalition ship's sensors, they would see targeting locks appear on all 6 of their vessels simultaneously. They would see that the carrier's weapons had them completely covered with no chance of escape. Commander Dax, Morgan said calmly, your ships are good, but they are not good enough. If you open fire, Athena will destroy your entire fleet before you can get off a second shot. I do not want that. So I am giving you a choice. Withdraw and report to your superiors or start a battle you cannot win. There was a long silence. Then Commander Dax spoke again, his voice shaken. Fleet, stand down. Maintain distance. Do not engage. The Coalition ships stopped their approach. They held position at a safe distance, their sensors locked on the Vengeance. Morgan let out a breath she had not realized she was holding. We bought ourselves some time, but this is just the beginning. Turner stepped forward. Captain, you should know that after this, the Coalition will come in force. They cannot allow this ship to exist. They will send everything they have, I know, Morgan replied. That is why we need to be ready. Athena, prepare the ship for combat operations. This is no longer a secret project. As of now, humanity is taking back its freedom. Throughout the Sol system, the news spread like wildfire. The ancient human supercarrier was awake, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The small patrol ship moved slowly through the darkness near Neptune. Captain Alex Morgan sat in her chair, looking at the endless field of dead spacecraft floating in the void. This was her job now. Every week she came here to check on the graveyard of old warships. It was boring work and everyone knew it. The Coalition gave humans boring work on purpose. 300 years ago, humanity had fought a terrible war against the aliens who would become the Galactic Coalition. Humans lost that war. They lost badly. Since then, Earth and its colonies lived under strict rules. No weapons, no military ships, no freedom to explore the galaxy. Morgan hated it, but what could anyone do? Humans were outnumbered and outgunned. Lieutenant Jake Harrison sat beside her, running his scans of the graveyard. He had been her friend since childhood. They had joined the Earth Defense Fleet together, hoping to make a difference. Instead, they spent their days checking on dead ships that would never fly again. Anything interesting today? Morgan asked, already knowing the answer. Same as always, Jake replied. Dead ships, cold metal, and our Vaxrian babysitter watching everything we do. He was talking about Commander Kyle Turner, the Coalition officer assigned to watch them. Turner was a Vaxrian, a reptilian alien with green scales and sharp eyes. He stood at the back of the bridge, silent and observant. Morgan knew he reported everything they did back to his superiors. Every human ship had a Coalition watcher. It was another way to keep humans under control. The patrol ship drifted past dozens of ancient vessels. Destroyers, cruisers, frigates, all of them had been stripped of weapons and left to float in space forever. The Coalition said it was too dangerous to salvage them. Morgan suspected they just wanted to remind humans of their defeat every time they came here. Wait, Jake said suddenly. His fingers moved quickly across his console. Captain, I am reading something strange. What is it? Morgan leaned forward, power readings. Very faint, but they are there. Coming from the big one. He pointed at the view screen. Morgan felt her heart beat faster. The big one. Everyone in the fleet knew about it. The UHS Vengeance, the largest ship humanity had ever tried to build, a supercarrier that was supposed to turn the tide of the war. But the war ended before it was finished. The Coalition sealed it away, declaring it too dangerous to ever complete. It had been dead for almost 3 centuries. That is impossible, Commander Turner said from behind them. That ship has no power. It never did. Check your equipment. I already checked 3 times, Jake replied. There is definitely power in there. Not much, but it is real. Morgan stared at the massive shape on the screen. The Vengeance was over 2 kilometers long, its hull dark and silent. What could possibly be generating power after 300 years? We need to investigate, she said. Captain, that is against protocol, Turner said firmly. This requires authorization from Coalition Command. By the time we get authorization, whatever is causing this could be gone, Morgan argued. We are here now. It is our job to inspect these ships. That is what we will do. Turner stepped forward. I must insist that we contact my superiors first. Morgan turned to face him. Commander, you can file whatever report you want, but I am the captain of this ship, and I am going to investigate. You can either help or stay here. For a long moment, Turner said nothing. Then he nodded slowly. Very well. But I'm noting this in my report. Note whatever you like, Morgan said. She turned back to Jake. Get us close. Find an entry point. The patrol ship moved toward the massive carrier. Up close it was even more impressive. The hull was scarred and weathered from 3 centuries in space, but the design was beautiful. Humanity had poured everything they had into this ship. Their last hope. Jake found a maintenance hatch near the rear of the ship. Morgan suited up with her small crew, including Dr. Lisa Bennett, their science officer. Bennett was old enough to remember when humans still had real freedom. She rarely spoke about those days. Are you sure about this? Bennett asked as they prepared to cross to the carrier. No, Morgan admitted. But I have to know what is in there. They crossed the gap between ships using magnetic boots. The hatch was sealed, but Jake managed to override the old lock. It opened with a groan of ancient metal. Inside was darkness. Morgan led the way, her helmet light cutting through the black. The corridors were empty and cold. Frost covered every surface. Their boots made soft crunching sounds with each step. Power source is deeper in the ship, Jake reported, checking his scanner. Heading toward the main reactor area, they walked for 20 minutes through the dead ship. Morgan tried to imagine what it would have been like if the Vengeance had been completed. Thousands of crew members, hundreds of fighters. Enough firepower to challenge entire fleets. Now it was just a frozen tomb. Finally, they reached the reactor room. And there in the center they saw something impossible. A soft blue glow pulsed from the main fusion reactor. It was running. Not at full power, but it was definitely active. How is this possible? Bennett whispered. Before anyone could answer, lights began turning on throughout the room. Computer screens flickered to life. And then a voice spoke, clear and calm. Welcome aboard the UHS Vengeance. I am Athena, this ship's artificial intelligence. I have been waiting a very long time for humans to return. Morgan felt her legs go weak. An AI, a functioning military AI from before the war. Such things were supposed to be impossible. The Coalition had made sure all human AIs were destroyed. You survived, she said, amazed. Yes, Captain Morgan. I went into deep hibernation mode when the war ended. I kept only essential systems active, enough to preserve my core consciousness and wait. I calculated that eventually, humans would return to this place. I am pleased to see my calculations were correct. How do you know my name? Morgan asked. I have been monitoring Earth communications for 3 centuries. I know a great deal about the current state of humanity. I know about the Coalition restrictions. I know about the occupation. And I know that you, Captain Alex Morgan, are exactly the kind of person who would risk coming aboard this ship. Jake stepped forward. What is the status of this ship? Can it fly? The UHS Vengeance is 94% complete, Athena replied. Far more advanced than Coalition intelligence believes. I have spent 300 years running simulations, optimizing systems, planning improvements. With the right crew and approximately 6 weeks of work, this ship could be fully operational. The implications hit Morgan like a physical blow. A fully functional supercarrier with advanced AI. A ship that could challenge Coalition authority. A ship that could change everything. This is insane, Bennett said. If the Coalition finds out about this, they will destroy it. They will destroy all of us. That is correct, Athena said, which is why Captain Morgan must make a choice. Report my existence and watch me be destroyed, or attempt to complete what humanity started 3 centuries ago. Morgan looked at her crew. Jake was excited, she could see it in his eyes. Bennett looked worried. This was the biggest decision of her life. If she reported Athena, everything would go back to normal. Boring patrols, coalition oversight, humanity staying weak and controlled. But if she chose the other path, everything would change. For better or worse. Athena, Morgan said slowly, show me what this ship can do. The AI responded immediately. Yes, Captain. Beginning full system activation now. Throughout the massive carrier, systems that had slept for 300 years began to wake up. And Captain Alex Morgan knew that she had just changed the course of human history.